Hello, my name is Kate. I'm from Cheshire East Libraries and I'd like to tell you about a book I love. My book is The Broken Road by Patrick Leigh Fermor, published by John Murray in 2013. In the 1930s, Patrick Leigh Fermor, aged 18, with a modest allowance from his family, decided to walk from Calais to Constantinople, as he called Istanbul, although it had been renamed in 1930. It was more than 40 years before he wrote the first 2 volumes about this walk, A Time of Gifts and Between the Woods and the Water. And this 3rd volume, although started in the 1960s and then called A Youthful Journey, remained incomplete until he was in his 90s and started to revise it. However, he died in 2011, before its completion, and another travel writer, Colin Thubron, worked together with Patrick Leigh Fermor's biographer, Artemis Cooper, to finish this book, keeping it as faithful as possible to the original idea. Now, there's an excellent introduction explaining all this in much more detail. The book mainly covers his travels in Romania and Bulgaria, with brief entries for Constantinople, and the last section is a fully detailed diary of his time spent on Mount Athos in Greece. I have to say, I think it's one of the best travel books that I've read. So when did I read this book? Well, last year in early October, I visited Greece for the very first time. Now, whenever I go on holiday, I often try to seek out books either by authors from the area I'm going to visit, or novels about the area, or, as in this case, travel books. That's not travel guides, but travel books about the area. Now, as we were going to the Cassandra Peninsula near Thessaloniki in northern Greece, northeastern Greece, I included Victoria Hislop's novel The Thread, which is about the city of Thessaloniki. And I also found this book, which ends on the peninsula of Mount Athos. That's 2 peninsulas along from where we were staying, and whose mountains we could see at times in the distance. As often happens, I didn't actually get to read either book while I was there on holiday, because the weather was fantastic and we were just out walking the hills every day. So it was finally in July of 2020 that I started reading this book. Now, I'd heard the name of Patrick Leigh Fermor before, but I didn't really know anything about him. So why do I love this book? Firstly, the writing is exquisite, and his vocabulary is extremely rich and varied. Every few pages of reading it, there would be a word that I wanted to look up. Some of them were just the Bulgarian or the Romanian or the Turkish or the Greek word for some local food or custom, or possibly their anglicisation, which I could not have reasonably been expected to know. But other words were perhaps familiar to readers in the 1930s, but that have gone out of fashion nowadays. Patrick Leigh Fermor is fascinated and hugely interested in foreign languages, which he appears to pick up with ease and always succeeds in communicating with people in some way, whether through a common language or by a form of sign language if necessary. As well as the language and the style of writing, the book is a real education, as the very best travel books often are. But this may be the best example I've ever read, as we learn about not only the history and the geography, but very much the social history and the politics of the countries. And there's quite a particular poignancy to the latter, given that he was passing through just a few years before the outbreak of the Second World War. And at one point in the book, he does mention that most of the people he met died or disappeared during that conflict. I feel he has both respect and affection for the numerous people that he meets on his travels, from Greek sailors dancing wildly in a cave on the Black Sea coast to French-speaking Bucharest socialites. He frequently makes fun of himself and is self-critical when he realises that he's done something stupid. I would recommend this book to absolutely anyone, whether you've already visited or intend to visit the area that the book covers or not. Whilst it is fascinating and informative, it's also very easy and a great pleasure to read with plenty of humour. I will definitely be seeking out some of Patrick Leigh Fermor's other books, especially the 2 earlier volumes of this journey before he reached Romania. Thank you for watching. Do look out for many other A Book I Love videos from Cheshire East Libraries. Thank you.